things occurring, and so we do have to make some adjustments with apologies. One of our speakers tomorrow, Young Pil Ri, the Korean Systems Research Group, has been hospitalized this morning. I just learned about it a few minutes ago, and so we are doing some rearrangement of the schedule. And so each of the next two speakers will have somewhat longer than the 15 minutes allotted, but by the time we're finished with that, plus the slippage we've had in the schedule getting back after the coffee hour, we should then be back on track, except that Professor Stig Holmberg has very kindly agreed to move his plenary speech into the slot tomorrow, which Young Pil Ri would have occupied. So his speech will not be today after all. There will be that change in the schedule. Professor Holmberg will be in Young Pil Ri's slot at the same time as that he was scheduled today, but tomorrow instead. Let me introduce the next speaker then. Richard Lee, on behalf of the Sociocybernetics group, new to the ISSS, and we're really delighted to have their participation during this week, both with Professor Lee's speech and with several panels. Professor Lee is with the Department of Sociology at the State University of New York in Binghamton. He specializes in long-term, large-scale social change and the sociology of structures of knowledge from a world systems perspective. He's published on the new sciences of complexity and cultural studies as they relate to the future of the social sciences. So I'm very much looking forward to his talk.
With only 15 minutes of fame, I thought I'd better have some prepared remarks, but we all know what happens to the best laid plans of mice and men. I find that I have a little extra time now, but I'll try to stick to the schedule so that we can all go to lunch when we're supposed to. I will take just a moment, however, to signal that the abstract that's printed under the co-host section actually is the abstract of my session paper. So I did take an extra 10 seconds there. In any case, it's a distinct pleasure to be here, and all the more to have the honor of, you see, I can't read from this distance, the honor of extending a welcome to this World Congress on behalf of the co-host organization I represent, the Research Committee on Social Cybernetics, RC51, of the International Sociological Association. Indeed, I was trained as a sociologist, and I teach in the Department of Sociology. My genealogy goes back through C. Wright Mills and critically to Columbia Sociology and Lazarsfeld. But my association with the nomothetic discipline and its primarily present-oriented perspective, however, is mitigated by my long-term affiliation with the Fernand Braudel Center, also at SUNY Binghamton. This represents the collapse of the nomothetic ideographic and, if you like, science, humanities antinomy in both my personal disciplinary and institutional allegiances and my intellectual point of departure with which that collapse is bound up. As I was thinking about what to say today, I was reminded that Ludwig von Bertalanffy so many years ago suggested that the systems approach that he advocated rendered moot this divide. So from this deceptively simple premise then, let me tell you something about the Research Committee on Social Cybernetics. Social cybernetics has attracted a broad range of scholars whose departmental affiliations represent the entire spectrum of the disciplines. And by that I mean from the sciences to the social sciences and the humanities. Furthermore, Furthermore, the many countries of origin of these RC51 members attest to the wide international appeal of social cybernetic approaches. Within this highly diverse community, there is wide agreement on some very general issues. For instance, on developing strategies for the study of human reality which avoid reification, are cognizant of the pitfalls of reductionism and dualism, and generally eschew linear or homeostatic models. Not surprisingly, however, there are also wide divergences in subject matter, in theoretical frameworks, and in methodological practices. The institutional history of the organization that eventually became RC51 began in 1980 with the founding of an ad hoc group within the International Sociological Association, and proceeded with the organization of sessions at succeeding quadrennial World Congresses of Sociology, first in 1982 in Mexico City, then in 1986 in New Delhi, in 1990 in Madrid, and then in 1994 in Bielefeld. RC51 became a thematic group and then a working group at the New Delhi World Congress, and in early 1995 the group elected its first board. RC51 grew from some 30 members in 1995 to over 240 by 1998. And in recognition of its extraordinary success, it was promoted to the status of research committee in less than the normal 4-year period at the 1998 World Congress of Sociology in Montreal. Since June 1998, RC51 has had its own website at the University of Zaragoza, where a detailed description of the group's activities, past, present, and future, can be found. The website contains abstracts of papers presented at the 1998 World Congress, at the 1999 annual meeting in Kolimbari, Greece, and of papers presented at the Second International Conference on Social Cybernetics in Panticosa, Spain, which just took place this last month. However, moreover, there are a 400-item bibliography and links to other websites in related fields. Shortly, we will be posting details pertaining to the organization of next year's 3rd International Conference on Social Cybernetics to be held in León, Mexico, and of the 2002 World Congress to be held in Brisbane, Australia. In Australia, we'll be organizing 16 sessions on social cybernetics, and in fact, the session coordinator, Bernard Scott, is here with us at the World Congress in Toronto. RC51 also publishes the Electronic Journal of Social Cybernetics, soon to be available for downloading from the website twice yearly in the spring and the fall. It now has become the official organ of RC51 and invites submissions from both members and non-members alike. The research committee casts a wide net in terms of appropriate subject matters, pertinent theoretical frameworks, and applicable methodologies. Indeed, the intellectual roots of social cybernetics reach back to the rise of a whole panoply of new approaches to scientific inquiry beginning in the 1940s. These included general systems theory, cybernetics and information theory, game theory and automata, net, set, graph, and compartment theories, and decision and queuing theory, all as strategies in one way or another appropriate to the study of organized complexity. Today, the range of approaches deployed by scholars associated with RC51 reflect the development of these practices. Here we find again GST, first and second order cybernetics, and work conceptualizing systems as self-organizing, autocatalytic, or autopoietic. Systems theory in the form given it by Niklas Luhmann and world systems analysis are also represented within the ranks of RC51. While there is widespread sensitivity as well to the issues raised by complexity studies. Although some would argue that models developed for the study of complexity can be usefully appropriated for the study of human reality, And, of course, socio and socio-cybernetics pertains to human reality, particularly the social domain. And the body of theoretical and empirical work in this area is growing. It seems to me that there is a larger issue here. On the one hand, the emphasis in complexity studies on contingency, context dependency, multiple overlapping temporal and spatial frameworks, and deterministic but unpredictable systems displaying an arrow of time suggests that the dividing line between the sciences and the historical social sciences is fuzzier than many might like to think. On the other hand, in the humanities, the uniquely modern concepts, the concepts unique to modernity, of original object and autonomous human creator have also come under serious attack, thus completing the impression that across the disciplines there may be observed a new concern for spatial temporal wholes, constituted at once of both the relational structures, their relational structures, and the phenomenological time of their reproduction and change, their history. It is then in this context of rich history and exciting possibilities that the Research Committee on Social Cybernetics, the International Sociological Association, extends an open invitation to that totality, to the totality of that ecumenical community engaged in the common quest to explain and understand social reality holistically and self-reflexively, without forsaking a concern for human values. Human values, not just as a matter of individual ethics, human values as an integral part of a social science for our time. Thank you.